Okay, so right, so of course now everybody sees that we are being recorded. So one reason why I didn't care much about recording this particular lecture is that it is mostly about administration, but of course why not recording it too. Okay, so I will quickly go through the course web page, and then we will go into the lectures. So yes, you know my name and how to get to my website, and also to the web page at which we are now. Now the schedule, if you haven't clicked on it, well, here it is. It hasn't changed. The only change is that it is going by distance. So we will meet at the same times that we were supposed to meet. Right. For the material, I apologize, as I do in almost all first lectures of any course I teach. I may repeat some material. I also may repeat some jokes. I apologize in advance. There are many groups that I've been teaching over the years. In many of my courses, I'm using the MIT OCW. Do I need to explain what MIT OCW is, or do you know that? If I do need to explain, say so. Explain, sure. Yes, so MIT OCW is MIT OpenCourseWare. So first, what is MIT? MIT is Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And here comes the joke that if you hear it for the first time, that's fine. If not, then forgive me. MIT Institute of Technology is one of the best institutes of technology in the world. Second best. The first best is, of course, our Linkoping Institute of Technology. It's famous for, MIT is famous for many things. In particular, it is open for its, it is famous for its open courseware, MIT OCW. What is it? Well, that's a collection of lots and lots of courses with lectures and videos and what's not. They have been collecting it over the years. It's not that they started to collect this only now. And I have been using MIT OCW in many of my lectures even before they were taught by distance. In particular, as far as the airline management course goes, TNFL 07, these two MIT OCW courses are most relevant. So the first one has kind of the same name, airline management. It's a long course, so we will not go into all the lectures from it, but we will use the material from it. Yeah, there are readings and other things. There are about 20 lectures for airline management in this course. And similarly, there is another course on MITW on airline schedule planning. And this course is more related to revenue management, economic mechanisms, and things like that. So again, you won't have to study through any of these courses in their entirety. I mean, there are 2 semester-long MIT courses, but I will be using material from them. It will be marked in the corresponding way, and so on. We will also solve part of the homework in airline management course in our homework 1, in airline management course from MIT. So, but anyway, so this is some of the related material. Then there is the text. There is a book. It's not the textbook for this course. I will show you the textbook for this course later. In principle, you don't have to use the textbook. We are not using the textbook. Lectures are self-contained. But if you need to look at something, it feels that our library has online access to this book. So you can read it if necessary. You don't have to, but that's still something that may be helpful. Okay, the next thing that I want to show is the practice exam. And that's something that you will hopefully spend more time on towards the exam. So it has the same format as the actual exam. So there are about, what, 10 problems. Some of them are on revenue management, some of them on fleet assignment. I don't promise that on the actual exam you will have the same ratio of fleet assignments to revenue management number of problems, but the problem types will be the same. So I will also, it's actually just so that it looks like an A4 layout, I show the full layout. So this is the first page of the exam, and it has all the information that you will have also in your actual exam. And of course, the most important thing is the change that I made because of the distance learning. So we're gonna have a take-home exam. I already changed that in LADOC. We will start the exam as planned. I forgot it, I think it was May 29th at 8 in the morning. And you will have to solve the problems on this exam within 1 hour, as many as you can, and submit your solutions to me. How you do that doesn't matter. You can practice on the practice exam how you're doing it, you know, whether you will be printing and then writing with a pen and pencil, and then scanning and submitting it by email, that's fine. Or you may, you know, create your own version of this exam and fill it in online, and so on. Right. So what are the boxes for? Okay, I can answer quickly. You have to put in some yes and no here. These boxes will be the same as the boxes in your homework questions, so you will get familiar with those. Right. So yes, so returning to the procedure. So within 1 hour, you will have to submit your solutions to me one way or the other. And yes, so during the exam, I will be available on the same Zoom, also by phone, by email, if necessary, so I will answer your questions. So you can use anything, books or whatever. So yeah, well, so the question is, are there both tasks with boxes and tasks with written solutions? No, all tasks are with written solutions. Some, or if not all of the tasks, require also filling in some information in the boxes. So, okay, why is there, right, so, okay, I guess that's the answer to the boxes. So I'm getting to it why there is such a short time. So the problems will be very much of the same type as you can see in homeworks. So it should be no problem to solve them within 1 hour. Furthermore, and I'm getting to it in the next line of this. So let me finish with this, that yes, you can use anything you want, books, lecture notes, write in English or Swedish. I mean, you will be writing formulas anyway. And now I'm getting to the line which at least partially maybe explains why it's only 1 hour. So you only need to get 50 points to pass the course. And yeah, that's doable within 1 hour in this exam, assuming that you have studied the homeworks and so on. And if you get 50 or more points, then you will get a pass, a grade of 3. And I think I emailed the new procedures to you all, but I'm happy to go through them again, well, because they are new. And if you find something terribly wrong in them, then, well, we still have time to change. But of course, I want to solidify it as soon as possible. So anyway, so you solved in this exam within 1 hour. and sending it to me. And if you are not trying to get 4 or 5, then that's it. Then you don't have to do anything else. I will grade your written solutions, and you will get a pass, grade of 3, if you scored 50 or more, or you will fail if you get less than that. And if you want to get 4 or 5, then we will have to do the oral examination. You will connect with me on Zoom or otherwise, and this will be a one-on-one talk. For the grade of 4, you will have to explain how you solved all these problems. So I will really go into your solutions to these problems. You will have to show the understanding. And even then, even if you try to get a 4, and then we see that you cannot really explain how you solve the problem, you can still get a 3, and you can even fail the exam. So trying to get a 4 is not a guarantee that you do not fail. You can fail because you have less than 50 points. You can fail because you were trying to get a 4 and couldn't explain how you solve the problems. Yeah, I guess those are the only 2 ways in which you can fail. So anyway, the exam will consist of 2 parts: the written part, and then for those of you who want to get 4 or 5, from the oral examination. And I'm also asking you to inform me at most 1 week before the exam whether you want to challenge yourself and get a 4 or 5. I need the approximate count of the number of people who will be joining Zoom after the written part. Do you get a 3 if you fail to get 4 or 5, but have at least 50 points? No, that's the point. If you are challenging and want to get 4 or 5, you can still fail. If we go into your solutions and it looks like you cannot explain how you solved the problems, then you will fail. So you should really be sure in all the solutions in order to challenge to get 4 or 5. So yeah, I guess I wrote it also in my email. I'm looking now. I understand these are lengthy explanations. Right, but I do say that note that you may get 3 or 2 for the exam here, irrespective of how many points you scored with your solutions for the exam problem. So yes, it is a challenge. You have to be sure. Yes, okay. So basically, that's the second part. Again, we're trying to solidify it as soon as possible, but if you think after the lecture and have further questions, you're of course most welcome to ask them. Okay, so well, the last thing on the first page of the practice exam and also the actual exam is I'm wishing you good luck with that. Now, the second page on the exam shows the mathematical program for the fleet assignment. And that's something that we will be studying for, well, I guess a couple of lectures and have a homework on it. So it's kind of a cheat sheet just for you to have it in one place. It will also be in the lecture notes. It is also in the homework, but also on the exam, just for your convenience. And then some of the rules, well, actually the rules start here directly after the mathematical program. So you may use this program, the one that we have in class. You may also use the program from textbook. It's a bit different, but if you like it, that's fine. You can also use the mathematical program from MIT course. That's also fine. But you have, yes, you have to indicate which program you're using if you're not using our default one. But again, these rules are also on the homework one, so they hopefully will not get you by surprise on the exam, like seeing it for the first time. These rules are exactly the same. And they specify what you need to get credit for the problem. Yeah, introduce new notation, describe it, add constraints, describe it. And I think, yes, over here, there is a bullet about putting certain things into tables. So this is the answer for the tables. Okay, these are the tables. In these tables, you will have to put yes or no's as appropriate. But there are no problems where you only have to put yes or no's. You also have to write some formulas pretty much in every question. Some formulas or some numbers. And that's, by the way, that's the reason why I decided not to try to have this exam in via Lisa more. Otherwise, it's easy to to do the check boxes or maybe give text answers, but when you have to write formulas, I guess well, pen and paper is still well, at least for many of you, maybe the well, not the only, but probably the best way to write the answers. So that's why we will have it in this format. When you either print or you write on the screen, there are many ways in which you can write. You only need you'll need to write formulas and a bit of text, and it's both. Yeah, I mean, short text, like you would have to explain, this variable represents this and that, and so on. Don't worry too much about the content right now. All the problems on the practice exam and the actual exam will be familiar to you if you do the homeworks. So you will have to write approximately the same amount of text, notation, formulas, and other things. And okay, so I'm going back from the practice exam. Speaking about homeworks, as in the usual non-distance class, yes, you will do homeworks, and then we will have sessions, so this time Zoom sessions, when I will be looking at your homeworks. You will be asking questions, I will be asking questions. I will basically make sure that you, that you have a well-written homework. I cannot make sure that you understand well. You will be working in groups, and as usual, some people in groups understand more than others, but we will be trying to get your homework to a good shape. Okay, so continuing with what's on the web page, so there is practice exam. There are also more practice problems. Well, these problems do not necessarily, well, most of them are different from what you would see on homeworks or exams. Just problems with answers. I think they are of low interest for you right now. When you are closer to the exam, you may want to look at them. Okay, so that's the further material part. Okay, announcements as usual. I don't expect too much on these announcements. Well, basically the due dates for the homeworks, which I will be also announcing in class and emailing and so on. So all the usual here. Again, this text is pretty standard for my class and I guess for other classes. So assignments due on the due date, scanned or email, well, paper scanned or email submission are both fine. Yes, use PDF. Again, you split yourself into groups in any way you like. If you cannot do it, let me know. I can split you into groups. And you submit one homework per group and indicate who are the group members. Well, here are the homeworks and also solutions to some of the problems that we will be looking at during the lectures. And then I will also open the solutions to all the problems after due date. So yeah, we'll just quickly click into homework one, mostly just to show that, well, you will see things which you also saw in the practice exam. But of course, the timeline is that you first see it in the homework, familiarize yourself with that, with the type of questions, types of answers, and so on. And then you will have this without any surprise on the exam. How many can be in one group? It doesn't matter. It's up to you. Again, so this time the homeworks, you will have a separate grade, pass, no pass for the homeworks, but that's group work. The group gets the same grade. I will have a slide on grading in the admin matters. Basically, it's pass, no pass for homeworks, and then the full range for the exam. So yeah, there's reading assignment. I want you to look at the regular operations management by yourself. It's not a too important topic, so I don't want to lecture on it. Homework too, and maybe there will be homework 3. We will see. I mean, timing is the biggest issue, I guess, with these new circumstances. Okay, so 13 minutes remaining until the end of this part, and what I want to do now is to go into these slides on administrative matters, but I'll wait, pause for a few seconds to hear any questions you may have on what we went through so far. If not, then I'm going into the admin matters. There are about 10 slides or something, yeah, 8 slides. Okay, when the homework is coming out, so the homework is already there. I mean, I'm going back to the course webpage, and the homework is posted. So basically, yeah, you can start looking at it as soon as possible. But we will have to go through the fleet assignment before you have enough knowledge to solve all of the homework. And essentially, my goal with the first few lectures, I guess it will be a couple of weeks, to go through the fleet assignment lecture again by video or Zoom or both, or whatever we will see. That's when I will assign the homework. Okay, so now to the slides. Yes, you know all the information here. Yes, you've seen the links to MIT courses. Yes, please raise your hand if you never raise your hand. So this is, I didn't add this because of the distance learning. I always had this kind of encouragement to be active. And even before the distance learning, even when teaching in class, I was trying to stress the importance of your involvement during the class, after the class, by email or otherwise. I mean, there is so much material and growing online available that it's rather a question of navigating through this material. And this is what I'm trying to do with my lectures, bringing things under a certain roof and rather cutting things out than adding them. And it's important to understand what are the stumbling blocks for you, and they may be different for different people in the class. And I guess now is the good time to have these individual answers or sessions if needed. So just as you would pop up into my office or schedule a meeting and then pop up into office, do raise your hand by email, and we'll schedule a Zoom or Skype meeting or telephone call or whatever, and interact as necessary. So that's just an encouragement. The textbook, it's not required, but there is nothing wrong with the textbook in general. I will show a couple of slides later where I do see a few things which are not ideal with the book, but still, I mean, you can learn just by reading the book. That's fine. I only have the 2009 edition of the book. If anybody has 2010 edition, well, in class, I usually ask to bring this new edition to me so that I could look at it. but I guess now it's less relevant. Nobody ever bought, or nobody ever showed me the 2010 edition. So if there is any reference to any edition of the book that I have, it's from 2009. Yes, and here are a couple of places in the book that I didn't quite like. So it says, you know, in the main sources of aircraft. And you, if you really read attentively, you may wonder, oh, well, what are these sources of aircraft? Probably what they meant is the resources of the airline. Yes, that's not very precise. Similarly here, irregular management problem. They speak about irregular management problem. And these, both of these examples I'm given, they are from the last section of the book, irregular management, which you may want to read yourself. Well, what is a regular management problem? It's regular operations management problem again. There are quite a few places in the book which are not ideal. This is also from the book, and well, minor thing, notation and font mismatch. Yes, you're using this italics, but then non-italics on the picture. Nothing terribly wrong with this. Not that this is really misleading, but it probably shows that this book hasn't been, well, written or proofread with enough care. So beware. There could be some omissions and so on. But otherwise, yeah, so it's an all right book. You can read. So these are the book sections, and in principle, these are the main topics in airline management. Demand modeling forecasting is important, and we will have a slide at least with these with the processes that go during the airline management when we going into, you know, resource scheduling, the revenue management, something else. We will see how it fits into the general airline management perspective. And yes, it starts from demand modeling forecasting. You want to know how many people will fly your aircraft. Then you need to schedule the resources that you have and resources of the fleet, the people, of course, and also some airport resources. We'll see if we get to study in the airport resources, but fleet assignment is the first topic. We will also briefly touch on schedule and the crew. And then, of course, well, you hopefully collect some revenue. You have to manage that. This is the topic that we will also go into some depth, understanding the seat reservation model and have the homework on it and so on. And regular operations management, as I said, this is for your self-study. So this is essentially our schedule. It doesn't follow the book kind of topic by topic, but the same topics mixed and match. So we'll start from fleet assignment, since it's the most important resource. My apologies to crew members and everybody else, but still the aircraft is something very unique to the airline. Revenue management, which is, yes, super important. You want to make money eventually. Demand modeling we will study, but will not have a homework on that. Yes, and then sorting, facility management, time permitting, we will go into that and look at airport resources of an airline. And then in the end, we will have the overview of whatever we went through. That's the schedule. And yes, finally, the grading. Just took it from the study book. So for the exam, as I said, you can have the full range of the grades. Well, this complicated. Well, if you want 4 and 5, then it's complicated. So if you only want to pass the course, I guess you just write the exam. And then the homeworks, yes, you have to make it into good shape before I can approve them. But when you do and I approve, you hopefully get a pass. Okay, so that's the end of these slides. Any question on them? So we still have 5 minutes left before 2. So the next thing that I guess you will do on your own is to look at this lecture, which is called Math Prelims. You don't have to study it. I don't mean to teach from it. This is a lecture that I just added. It's a new one. wasn't there in the previous reincarnation of the courses. But I felt that sometimes when we go directly into the fleet assignment and yeah, other parts of the course, but mostly fleet assignment, there are some mathematical prerequisites which are either missing or maybe you forgot them. So I put up, you know, a short lecture, yes, 9 slides on mathematical prerequisites. Again, I don't mean to teach from these slides. It's hopefully a repetition of what you already knew about sets and notation and other things. If it's new to you, then it's going to be a crash course. But basically, it speaks about sets, saying that, well, we don't define sets, but we nevertheless work with them. It's an unordered collection of elements. And here are some examples of sets, and then examples of properties of sets of elements. And here is as an example of a set, I'm using these geometric figures and yeah, some of the properties. And there are some questions that you may want to answer. And then understanding the properties as function of the element, and again, some questions. And then the important thing is singling out the subsets by properties. So finding shapes which are circles, and the notation for it, we're looking for shapes F such that, and this column notation, F such that shape of F is equal to circle, and so on. That's important. And I encourage you to try to answer these questions. For instance, how would you describe with mathematical notation this set of squares? And then I'm given another example, and this example is much more closely related to the fleet assignment. We're looking at sets of links, these arrows between vertical lines. And again, we're looking at certain subsets of links, like links such that, again, important to understand that this column reads such that, so set of links L such that the origin line of the link is equal to A, basically all the lines that originated A, and some other notation. And then doing the summation of the links. So if you have certain numbers assigned to certain links, how do you write the sum of the numbers over the certain links? Again, here is the notation. And I guess this is probably the last by one slide, just for practice how you define the subsets in the subscript of the summation sign. And yes, and just a few more examples for your practice. So I ran through these slides very quickly. They are here for your reference. If you go through the fleet assignment lecture, I still have 1 minute, and maybe I will go to some slide which is in the fleet assignment lecture, which is heavy on notation. So something like, yeah, something like this. So you will have constraints, yes. So here in the lower left corner, if you see this heavy notation, I am explaining it also in the fleet assignment lecture, but if you find yourself lost in it and, oh, what does it mean, all this column in the subscript, then that's the time for you to go into this mathematical prerequisites lecture and maybe brush up on your understanding, hopefully get the understanding. Okay, so I'm about to close this Zoom session, and I will post the recording. And for the next hour or so, please watch the video or watch it at other time. That's also the beauty of it. And come back with questions. So I will be in the same Zoom meeting starting at 3, taking your questions on the fleet assignment, or on the part of the fleet assignment lecture. One thing I wanted to mention is that the video does not go through the full fleet assignment lecture. It's only 48 minutes, yeah, single airline with single aircraft. Okay, talk to you later.